You're the last one alive. The round is sitting on your crosshair, and you're holding an angle you've held 1,000 times. Footsteps. Closer. And somewhere in those last 3 seconds, without deciding anything, you stop breathing. The air just locks high in your chest. The enemy peaks. The flick you hit all day in the practice range slides 2 millimeters wide. We've all watched that replay. The aim was there. The hands weren't. Most advice at this point says grind more. More range time, more flick maps, more hours. But the range was never where the problem lived. In the range, the heart sits quiet. In the clutch, it doesn't. There's a group of people who ran into this exact problem 400 years ago, staying precise while the heart rate spikes, and they didn't solve it with faster hands. They solved it with a slower exhale. Japanese archery survives today as Kyudo, the way of the bow. The West mostly knows it through the Zen archery label, but the record shows something less mystical and more useful. A martial training system, built when the bow was still a battlefield weapon, then refined for centuries into something close to a physical science of staying steady. The whole transferable piece fits in 4 moves, and the 4th one is really a warning, because there's a version of this that makes the shake worse, and it's the version most of us would try first. Watch a Kyudo archer, and the first thing you notice is that nothing hurries. Every shot follows a fixed sequence called the hasetsu. 8 stages, always in the same order, and every stage tied to the breath. The inhale rides the draw as the bow rises. Then, at full tension, the stage called kai, the archer doesn't freeze and doesn't fire. The breath settles low into the belly, the body keeps expanding, and the arrow leaves during the slow exhale. Never on an inhale, never on a gasp. The feudal archers left us the form. The clearest surviving explanation of the breathing, though, comes through later teachers, and the record is honest about that gap. In April 1978, a senior Japanese martial arts teacher named Kawakubo Takiji wrote a set of reference notes on breathing across the martial arts. He stripped the mysticism out. The tanden, that center which sounds like an energy field idea, he pinned down as a real, findable thing. A point of lower abdominal muscle about 3 centimeters below the navel, where tension converges when you exhale. His argument was blunt. Breath that only moves the upper chest is weak breath. Breath driven from that low point is what keeps a body steady while it does something difficult. Under real stakes, the body releases adrenaline and the heart rate spikes. One measured effect of that spike is physiological tremor, tiny involuntary oscillations in the muscles, strongest in the hands, cycling around 7 to 11 times a second. It's always running at a low level. Stress turns the amplitude up. Research on shooting has measured the relationship directly. As tremor rises, precision falls. So the crosshair microshake isn't a courage problem. It's a muscle doing what muscle does at 140 beats a minute. And breathing happens to be the one lever on that system we can pull on purpose. A slow, controlled exhalation stimulates the vagus nerve, the nervous system's main brake line, which slows the heart and walks the body back out of alarm. Researchers have watched competition archers and pistol shooters do this without being told to. Heart rate monitors show the pulse decelerating in the final seconds before the shot. The most precise shooters alive are already exhaling into the release. One motion study out of Tokyo caught the size of the effect in photographers of all people, hands holding heavy cameras in low light. A controlled cycle built around a slow inhale and a 6-second exhale cut hand oscillation by roughly 40% compared to stressed breathing. Different tool in the hands, same hands. Here's the practice, translated as directly as the record allows. 4 steps. 1. Breathe low, belly, not chest. If the shoulders rise on the inhale, the breath is trapped high, which is the exact fault the Kyudo manuals warn against. High breath, high center, unstable base. Let the inhale push the stomach out instead. That low anchor is the tanden doing its job at a desk. 2. Inhale on the setup. In Kyudo, the inhale rides the draw, the preparation. Our version, breathe in while taking the angle, while the fight is still forming. Setup is inhale territory. 3. Let the shot happen on the exhale, slow and even. This isn't timing the trigger to a metronome. It's making the long exhale the window the shot lives inside. Kyudo forbids releasing on an inhale, and dojo notes record why. A gasp at the moment of release sends a ripple of weakness through the core. There's a gaming version of that gasp, the sharp breath in when the enemy finally appears, right before the overflick. 4. The warning. Don't hold empty. The steady window is the exhale itself, not the stillness after it. Sitting on empty lungs for more than a few seconds starves the system. The stress chemistry rebounds, and the tremor comes back worse than where it started. Long exhale. And if the fight's still going, breathe again and ride the next one. It's a rhythm, not a hold. The small version, the one that fits in a Tuesday, 10 minutes in the practice range, exhaling through every shot before any of it touches ranked. Not because the range is where it matters, because the range is where it gets automatic enough to survive a spiking pulse. The whole method in one breath. Low, in on the setup, out through the shot, never hold empty. Kyudo keeps one idea that sounds backwards, right up until it doesn't. Archers weren't judged on whether the arrow struck. They were judged on the form. Because when the form is right, the hit is simply what happens next. The target doesn't need chasing. We spend years chasing the crosshair. Better sense, better placement, more hours in the range. All of it real. But the crosshair was never the thing that was shaking. Somewhere in a dojo tonight, an archer is standing at full draw, heart climbing, doing nothing but breathing out slowly. 400 years of refinement, and that's the move. They got steadier the moment they stopped watching the target and started paying attention to the thing doing the holding.